those who don't know me, my name is Sam Schwartz. I'm a part-time police officer, and I have been for the last 20 years. I currently command Renana's Volunteer Bicycle Police Unit, and I'm commander of the city's Western Emergency Response Team. Over the years, I've served with thousands of policemen, some of whom, unfortunately, were killed in the line of duty. Today, on Yom HaZikaron, as we move into Yom HaAtzmaut, I want to briefly share the stories of two of these officers who touched my life by the messages of their lives and deaths. First Sergeant Major Charlie Chelouche. Even though he was killed when I was still in school, in my 20 years in the police service, I never heard the name of an officer mentioned more times than that of Charlie Chelouche. Not Asaf Chefetz, the tactical genius, or the Yamam leader Ali Karon, or Yochanan Danino, the commissioner. Charlie's name is mentioned in about 15%, 20% of the pre-patrol or pre-mission briefings that I've been given or have given myself. And this is a tribute to his professionalism, character, morality, and ultimately his sacrifice. Charlie was born in a small settlement in the Galil in 1964. He studied at the Migdal Ol Yeshiva and fought in the First Lebanon War. He joined the police and soon was accepted into the Yamam, our national SWAT intervention unit, where he also qualified as a bomb disposal expert, a sapper. Most of his heroism and his heroic stories are still classified until this day, but one operation that can be talked about is when Charlie was instrumental in the March 1988 Mother's Bus rescue mission. 3 Palestinian hijackers took over a bus full of women traveling to the nuclear research Negev Center near Dimona. The rescue effort began when the hostage takers started killing the mothers. But within 40 seconds, Charlie and his team had eliminated the 3 killers. Charlie was not only known for his bravery and his professionalism, but also for being funny, kind, and sensitive. I spoke to someone who knew him, who talked about how big a Shlomo Artzi fan Charlie was, and how on the Yamam bus, driving to operations, he would insist that they put Shlomo Artzi tapes into the cassette player, and he would sing very loudly. I have a picture here of Charlie at a Purim party, which he did with the Yamam unit, a night before the Mother's Bus rescue mission. He and the Yamam guys didn't know what was coming, and you can see what a fun guy he was. With his combination of excellence and sensitivity, everyone who knew him said he was destined for greatness. In October 1990, a terrorist with a 40-centimeter long knife went rampaging through Jerusalem. Screaming Allahu Akbar, he killed an 18-year-old soldier girl, Ilis Azulai, wounded a 13-year-old boy, and then murdered a 43-year-old nursery owner, Eli Eldratz. Charlie, who lived in the neighborhood, heard the commotion. Charlie was right about to finish his officer training course, and even though he was off duty, and even though he was taking care of his very pregnant wife, he got his pistol, came outside, saw what was happening, and chased after the terrorist. As per procedure at the time, when a terrorist is 10 or so meters away from you, you screamed at the terrorist and fired a warning shot in the air. The terrorist charged, and Charlie fired in the air again. The terrorist kept going, and Charlie shot him in the lower portion of his body, first in one leg and then in the other. Charlie then went to check on the fallen attacker, who suddenly got up and wrestled with him. While Charlie succeeded in subduing the attacker, he sustained what would be a fatal chest wound and died at the age of 26. He received the police's Medal of Courage for his actions. Charlie's widow Yael gave birth to their daughter 2 weeks later. After his killing, the police changed the rules of engagement to allow the immediate neutralization of a terrorist if the officer found that he presented danger to the life, an immediate danger to the life of the officer or those around him. Charlie leaves a legacy of professionalism and bravery alongside kindness, sensitivity, and caring. Every police officer balances these qualities in a new way, following the lessons that Charlie taught in his life and his death. I think about him every time I train weapons or Krav Maga. every time I run a knife defense exercise for the officers in my unit, every time I brief my team before going out on a patrol. May his memory be a blessing. The second officer I want to talk about is Senior Sergeant Major Haim ben Hamo. And I got a picture of him too. Haim ben Hamo is the most recent police officer to die in the line of duty and someone with whom I worked with regularly. Haim was born in 1975 and grew up in the Sharon region. He lived in Hadera and joined the police force in 1997. Rising up the ranks, he eventually became a senior sergeant major and head of the patrol unit in the Kfar Saba police station. And for those who don't know, the Ranana substation is a subset of the Kfar Saba police station. And therefore I worked with him very frequently as he served as the Rosh Mishmeret, the head of shift, on many nights when I patrolled. He would give the pre-patrol briefings to all the units going out on a given night, and I was impressed by his thoroughness and seriousness. Even though he had given these briefings many hundreds of times before, he didn't take things for granted. He ensured that we understood what our roles were, made certain that we had all of our necessary equipment, and passed on to us all of the recent, relevant intelligence information. He made us feel that our safety was his personal concern. I checked in with him on the radio when I began and ended all of my shifts. And whenever I had a question about how to handle an incident, whether it was a chevetz chashud, a suspicious package, an arrest of a spousal abuser, or when finding a drug stash, I got him up on the radio, and despite all the other claims of his attention as head of shift, and believe me, there are a lot of attention claims on the radio during patrol, he gave me the guidance that I was looking for. This February, just a month or two ago, two 28-year-old Kalkilia residents broke into two houses on Pardes Street in Neve Yerek near Hod HaSharon. And they stole from there cash and property. Chaim got the report on the radio, rushed to the scene in his police cruiser, got there first, exited his vehicle, and when he saw that the suspects were fleeing, he and his partner ran to chase them on foot. During the chase, Chaim collapsed, and his partner, and later, Magen David Adom paramedics performed CPR on him, but unfortunately, they couldn't save him. He was brought to the hospital where he was pronounced dead of a heart attack. A few hours later, the two suspects were located nearby and arrested by another unit. The stolen property was recovered and returned. Haim ben Hamo left behind him a wife, 5 children, parents, and 5 brothers and sisters. From Chaim, I learned professionalism and leadership, the skills of how to brief, inspire, and take responsibility for the other policemen who serve with and under you. I learned dvekut b'mesima, sticking to the mission, chatira lenitzachon, striving for victory, and carrying out your mission with nechishut v'regishut, determination and sensitivity. He lived these values, and he died being an example of them. Yehi zichro baruch. Please stand for this go. יזכור עם ישראל את פניו ובנותיו, הנאמנים והאמיצים, חיילי צבא ההגנה לישראל, וכל לוחמי המחתרות וחטיבות הלוחמים במערכות העם, ואנשי קהילות המודיעין, הביטחון, המשטרה ושירות בתי הסוהר, אשר חירפו נפשם במלחמה על תקומת ישראל, וכל מי שנרצחו בארץ ומחוץ לה בידי המרצחים מארגוני הטרור. יזכור ישראל ויפרח בזרעו ויבל על זיו העלומים וחמדת הגבורה וקדושת הרצון ומסירות הנפש של הנספים במערכה הכבדה. יהיו חיילי מערכות ישראל עטורי הניצחון, חתומים בלב ישראל לדור דור.